Yeah, I'm stoked. This will be another Philly band to add to the long list of Philly bands that I've had on. I
Who
used
else
to
will be
do a running.
interviewed?
So, I've done Puppy Angst. Now that I'm on the spot, I'm going to blank on everybody.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Sorry.
That's all good.
pup. No, you're fine. Puppy Angst. Oh, I just had yeah, I just thought of someone. It's a decent amount of people, enough where like I keep saying that I need to make a trip to Philly one of these days, and just like try and do like a giant meet, maybe at Walmart Beach. Probably no rotisserie chicken, deep cut.
Yeah.
We know.
Oh, we know.
But yeah, one of these days I'll make it out to Philly and just like
Oh yeah,
try and meet everybody that's been on.
yeah, you
Oh
gotta
Yeah.
yeah.
sure.
Where are you located? I don't think I know.
I'm in Minneapolis.
Oh, hell yeah. I've never
Oh
been.
hell yeah.
Yeah, if you guys are ever coming through, for sure, let me know.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
definitely.
Sick.
We will. Announce on our
Uh,
list.
um,
Starting a note.
do you guys have any questions before we get started?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
My only question for you guys is, do you have an unopened beverage that you would like to participate in the opening crack with?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
There we go.
All right, so what we'll do here is I'll count us down. We'll crack these. I'll do the little intro, bring the three of you in, and we'll just have a good time.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Sounds awesome.
All right, in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Beers with Bands podcast with your host, Michael Torres. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Beers with Bands. This week, classic fashion, I got another Philly band on the pod. I'm sitting down with Here Now. How you guys doing?
Good.
Good man.
That's
Oh, yeah.
Stoked to be here.
I'm stoked. It's Thursday, sun shining, there's no rain, working from home tomorrow, sitting down, talk with you, so I can kind of just nurse whatever, in my old age, whatever hangover I end up getting tomorrow. I'm ready to have a good time.
Hell yeah, we're getting it.
So,
lucky.
before we get too far, like I said, you guys are Here Now. You guys are like an alt rock, post hardcore band based out of Philly. Can you kind of go around and say who you are and what you do in Here Now?
Yeah. I'm Pat. I play guitar and I sing in Here Now.
I'm Nick. I play drums, and I play drums in Here Now.
I'm JW. I play guitar and sing in Here Now. We always do every time. Pat
We
always
never
goes
know who's
first,
gonna go
and then
first.
I try to jump in, but yeah.
We need to figure out this order and just know who's going in when, because every
No,
time
I love
we
the
do one of these, we
chaos.
just stare at each other.
Yeah, I think the chaos adds a little bit more to like the dynamic of the band, because if you have it dialed in, then it's just like
True.
it's not the real version of the band,
I
Right.
love the tension. I love knowing, like, I see them both like double dutching, like who's gonna go.
Oh
They
shit,
just
who's
are
it gonna
just
be?
chicken of who's gonna go. We'll see how long we stretch it for. The
Right.
awkward
Yeah.
silence.
On my end, it's always kind of funny whenever I ask that question, just like, especially when the bands aren't in the same room, kind of like you guys are, just to like just to watch everyone's face at the camera, just like looking at each other, like, okay, who's gonna go first? Who's gonna make that first move? You gotta exert dominance and just go for it.
I
That's
feel
it.
lucky. I feel like I feel like I get to go first, and I feel like it's a huge weight off.
That's you're lucky. We should start doing
Yeah.
more in person where we can just nudge each other off camera.
Yeah. I'm about to
Y'all
start
need to
knocking
start trying
Pat
to.
out of the front spot.
I was gonna say that would be a fun curveball. Please.
He's a little too comfortable these days. I gotta let him know.
It's true.
But kind of getting back into Here Now. Also, I forgot to mention earlier, tangents will happen. I'm totally down for those. Always excited to see where tangents go. So don't feel bad if we completely derail and end up talking about something completely different, because it will happen, and I'm here for it.
Hell yeah.
But kind of looking through everything, the first release was as long as you as I feel
As
like
alone as you thought you were. It's all good. It's a
There we
mouthful.
go. Yeah, I must have I for some reason typed in as long as you thought you were, and I was like, that's not right at
That's
all.
not right.
That's
Yeah.
not it.
But that came out in 2016, so you guys have been kind of rocking for quite a while. Obviously we don't count pandemic years for some of those because everyone had to strive through those, and congrats for coming out on the other end of that.
Right.
But is there any like secret, do you think, for if anyone listening that's like in a newly formed band, as to what the secret is of staying together for all this time, being now what, 2024, 8 years? So like, is there
Well,
a secret to still going?
the funny thing about the secret sauce is I wouldn't say the secret about keeping going together. That first record I did without these two, unfortunately I didn't start playing with them yet. That was a mistake on my part. When after that record came out, I started working on Dilate. That's when Nick joined the band. So we released Dilate. I'm like zooming through this, but I'll go back through with the secret sauce. We released Dilate, and then COVID happened. So things did fall apart a little bit. But Nick and I knew that we wanted to push through it and create and keep going. And that's when right after COVID is when we were able to get JW in the mix. And JW, like, how long ago was that now?
Couple years, right?
Couple years. Yeah, like 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of staggered, but I would say like I would rather than saying what is like the secret to staying together, I would say hold on to the vision and the idea and don't let that go. No matter what happens, what relationships come and go and what world events happen. If you want to do it, keep doing it.
Yeah, I mean that's 100%. Because for people that I hadn't gone to it, but Dilate came out I think January 2020, so it literally comes out, probably play one maybe two shows to kind of back it, and then it's like, hey, we're done. We'll see you guys on the other side. But I mean, to also kind of bring in new faces and new beings into this project, and still go with the same like moniker. I know a lot of people, the feelings and everything can change behind the scenes, where at one point Here Now could be completely different than like Here Now right after pandemic once JW comes in. So to keep that that original vision still alive, of Here Now, to keep seeing that through, like that's a big step to kind of push through, I feel like, too.
Yeah, it's funny. I used to like kind of like knock bands that like had like the rotating door and like weren't the original band. And there's some really giant bands are good examples of that. I don't know why the first band that comes to mind is Slipknot. But where like like there's only one original member after X amount of years. But I think it comes down to like we could have started a new band, but I think it was the concept of Here Now that I know I wanted to hold on to, just the goal and the sound and what we wanted out of it. So I feel like we could have renamed it, but it would have been Here Now.
Also, for people listening, if you haven't checked out Dilate, please go do so. I ran out of time, so I did not check out as alone as you thought you were, but I'm sure that's still bangers. So please go check that out as well. And like I said, that came out in 2020. Since then, it's been a few singles. Obviously, we added in JW since then, and then with the most recent single being Stayed Dead, which came out in January. I know that there was a single before that, but with that being like the first kind of song to kick off 2024 leading into this new year, like how did it feel to kind of get that out? I know it's been a little bit of time since then, but like how was that to be a part of? Because I mean, with JW coming in after Dilate, you would have only been on the two current singles plus the new one so far, right?
Right. Yeah.
Felt like the missing
just on the
piece
newer
for
stuff.
sure. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I don't want to.
Oh, no. I mean, I was just going to say that, I'm just on the latest two songs, but I feel like the sound has, even since I've been playing with the band, it has sort of evolved and changed. And I think that like there is some common threads from Stay Dead and even Partial Permanent with the other records, but it is still like a here now sound, but I think that it's kind of changed sort of substantially.
Yeah, and I think that's why like we also wanted to keep Here Now going, like under that name and everything too, is like what the three of us have right now, like from coming off Dilate, coming out of the pandemic, things like that. Um, rehearsing with JW, starting to write with him, like the three of us, like the chemistry was just so tight and so there that it's like it felt like Here Now, that like we wanted to keep riding that out, and it's just working really well what we've got going right now with the past two singles, this new single coming out. Got a few in the chamber right now, so it's like it's good momentum behind it and everything as well too, and it's kind of like what we've been digging through the sand for a little bit with this band, that like I feel like we've finally struck that now we're able to run forward with.
Yeah, it's nice to see the kind of, I don't know if we want to say like the JW era, not to keep putting you on the spot with this, but like going from Dilate to the latest singles, you do notice a slight change. Not like it's a dramatic change, but you do notice like a different evolution of Here Now, which is always a fun thing to see from like an outside perspectives of, because like I've always said, every release is basically like a bookmark or a chapter in the life of the project. So it's nice to see that progression. Not that it would have been bad if you guys would have stayed kind of like more in the Dilate sound leading into this, but it's nice to see that uptick when that happens.
Thanks. Yeah, I would say the JW era is our golden era.
Yeah.
I think
You heard
with
it here
that,
first.
I think with that, and golden era, I feel like saying that assumes that there's an end. So I don't want to say that, but I'd say we're in our golden years right now. But also we started working with a new producer, who, is the same way JW, it felt when we started jamming with JW and the way things fell into place. It was the same way we working with Adam, the way he's producing our songs and just the chemistry in the room. So I think that lends itself to like just the step in the evolution as well.
And for people that might not have listened to Stay Dead or the most recent single, which I have here too, Partial Permanent. It's one nice thing that I really like about the sound that Here Now is doing is it's like this, especially with it being singles and not like tied into an EP, because you really want them to stand out and like be their own thing when you're doing it this way of releasing stuff. Is they're so like big and bold with each song, especially with like the new one that we'll talk about here in a second. But they're just like so in your face and so like so much going on where you're just hooked and you're like, oh damn, like that felt like I had been. Those moments where you listen to a song and it's like that 3.5 4 minute mark, but you feel like you've been listening to that song like a lot longer than what it really is. It was like I had a lot of that happening today, but like in a good way of like, oh man, like this is full. I feel like I've heard a whole EP, but it's really just been one song. In like the best ways is how I'm trying to put that across.
Hell yeah, thank you.
So if anyone's looking for that, please go do that. But like it's nice to see that, especially kind of getting into this new single, like we were kind of mentioning, Creatures, which should be out around the time that this episode comes out. I did forget to mention this one comes out the first Friday in July, so it should be around here. If not,
shortly after.
Be patient for it. But it's such like this was the one that I really felt that with, where like the intro, you kind of do like this weird like little synthiness to it to kind of get you hooked, and then just like there's I think one guitar solo between like in the middle right before like another chorus comes in that just gets you hooked, and there's those little moments throughout that just keep you going and like keep you invested.
Yeah, when we wrote that song, we really wanted it to be like constantly like growing and evolving. I know we wanted to have like just kind of keep building like upon itself as a song. And a lot of our songs that we wrote before, like Partial Permanent and Stay Dead, I know how he always referred to them is like just like I forget what you say. It's like just go, like just driving like for most of the song, and just like energy is just constantly there and it never loses it, and it's just like keeps you hooked through that. And with Creatures, you know, it's a little more slower of a song, a little more kind of balladish at parts, and it was a different change from like what we wrote with other stuff. And it was cool to challenge ourselves with writing that song, and kind of going a different direction, but still approaching it the same way, where we wanted to make sure that it still had energy, still grabbed you, still had like drivingness to it. But like each part just kind of built upon itself, and it continued just growing more and more and more as the song went on.
The
And
funny
I
thing
mean,
about that synth intro is, sorry, that JW just had it there as a placeholder. We knew we were going to do something like that, and we thought we were going to re-record it in the studio. And I think we all just loved it, and we never got around to it, and we're all just cool with it. So it's like,
Yeah.
JW, you could probably say it better than I did, but you just.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say that was a first pass, but that was like I threw a couple things together because I was like, we need something here, and I was just kind of like messing around with it. And then yeah, I think it kind of like it stuck to the point where it was like, well, maybe we don't need to change it. Like I remember when I sent out the first mix of it, I was like, we'll change this. And then it kind of, I guess, grew on all of us.
I loved it.
I'm glad we didn't.
We didn't even re-record it. We just used that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we got used to listening to the demo so much it was hard to hear the song any other way. So it was
Right.
like, this is the song. This is the part that's there. Yeah.
Agreed.
Since I mean that got added and you guys all loved it, is there chances that we'll see like a little bit more of the synthiness to any future songs?
Yeah, I think it's a conscious decision that we made, is that we, I guess like around when we started tracking Dilate, Nick and I knew that this was like, we're on the track that we knew we want to be on. It was a matter of like, like getting the tools, learning the tools, and then implementing the tools kind of. So JW helped with that a ton because he was already very familiar with the tools. They're tools of his trade. So it definitely helped that, he was also in line with where we wanted to be when he hopped on the train.
You can see multiple synths in the corner of JW's.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
Yeah. I think also, we all kind of listen to a lot of different music that is, whether it's synth based or just has like those types of parts, whether it's like electronic drums or different things like that. I think that that's like a lot of the music that we like and that we listen to. And obviously there's nothing wrong with like guitar based drums, but I think that we like we found ourselves gravitating to things with like a little bit more production and some of those more like I guess electronic elements.
And we all have like eclectic music tastes. Like we listen to a wide range of stuff, and I think that's where it all kind of the crossroads are. Like I know JW and I love like bands like Bon Iver, which is obviously very like synth heavy and things like that. But then like there's bands that obviously inspire our music, like Bring Me the Horizon and Dayseeker and stuff like that are a little more produced and have synth parts to them. So kind of like blending a lot of those worlds together is helping us kind of find the sound for a lot of these new songs too.
Yeah, it's always cool to see the influences shine through in like what you like have as like an output. So I'm really stoked to kind of see. Obviously, Creatures is just about to be released. I think what you sent me is still technically one of the later demos. So I think you said it's not even fully done yet. But like I'm stoked to see kind of what it's like when it's fully polished up, but also like to see what the next wave of singles is that you guys end up putting out, because everything that's out so far has been great, and I'm one of those people that really likes to sit down and like listen to like an EP or an album, so I'm very ready for like when this one ends. I'm like very ready for like the next thing.
We've been talking about when it makes sense to do more than a single, and I don't know if we've come to a conclusion yet. I know we want to. Just I miss a collection of songs where you can have things tie in and you can have like fuck around time, and it doesn't have to be so like poignant, I guess. I'm excited for when we can do that for sure.
There's a lot more pressure on putting out singles because the singles got to it's got to land. Not that you don't want the songs on an EP or an album to necessarily land, but you know, it's tough too because we just want to consistently turn out content. So we're just writing, recording, putting out singles, and it's hard to take that step back with like a little more of a break to put it together in like a collection and write something as a whole. But I agree with Pat.
Yeah.
It's nice to do like an album and like create a theme around it and create like a more grander scale of a piece of art.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a shame that the industry kind of is pushing away from that sort of model. Like you really are only if you're listening to a full record or even a full EP, it's from a band that you like, you know what I mean? The odds of like stumbling upon a band and being like, oh fuck, and diving into like a full length or, you know, a full EP, it's just like it's so hard to like land that plane. So I think that's kind of why we've been doing the single thing, but you know, it would be dope to do like a bigger collection of songs for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously, you know, we all kind of grew up in like the same era of, you know, most bands releasing like an EP, maybe a full length afterwards with like those singles leading into each. Did it feel different or almost like wrong or taboo to be like, oh, you know, we're just gonna release like singles instead, like, and do this schedule? I know like that's the way that a lot of things are changing, but like, did it feel weird to like kind of have to bend over backwards to kind of fall into that line?
Yeah, I will say it's like there's upsides and downsides to like the single game. You know, like fully investing in a single song is cool in its own way. It can be exhausting for sure too, but I think, you know, whatever it is, you know, our hand is forced, you know. Um, if we want to keep up and try to grow in this climate, um, just a record isn't a smart decision, which sucks. But if we, you know, if we want to, I don't want to say play the game, but if we want to keep up, we have to do the singles. But I feel like we're learning a lot doing that, learning a lot about production, learning a lot about um, writing singles for sure.
And it's
Yeah, I think there's something. Oh, go ahead, Nick.
no, go ahead, JW.
I was gonna say I think there's something nice about like the cyclical nature of it. Like as Nick said, you know, we write, we record, we release, we write, record, we release, and you know, it's kind of like it's a very short feedback loop, right? Where like this is what worked for us last time, this is what didn't, and we can quickly, you know, pivot or change course on the next one if we like how one turned out or the way that we promoted it or something like that versus not. Um, you know, and I think that like that has been kind of a cool piece of it. And sort of to Pat's point, you know, working and focusing directly on one thing, kind of putting all of our attention and energy into one thing versus like, all right, we've got 6 songs, you know, we're psyched about 2 of them, a couple of them still need work, you know what I mean? Like it becomes a little harder to, I guess, you know, give everything the like love and attention that it deserves and not super extend the timeline, you know. So yeah, I've kind of enjoyed the singles to be honest, because it, you know, it's a finite thing. It's like it's there and then it's sadly it's over, but you know, at least you're not riding something that is not working for a long period of time.
For sure. And I think
And
that's why the singles are
you go first.
sorry, I was just gonna say I think that's why the singles are a little refreshing, especially for Pat and I, because we put so much work into Dilate and recording that, like putting a 12-song album out, you know, between like the two of us, like grinding like, you know, multiple days a week on writing, recording, like doing things, and then, you know, putting in like the financial aspect, but also everything else into like doing an album. And like, you know, we recorded that one at Voodoo Studios with Mike Watts, and you know, but doing it at like a real studio and everything that went into it, like the branding, the packaging, all that stuff, putting it out, and then like a month later the world just completely shutting down was, you know, all the shows that we had lined up, all like the marketing plan, all that stuff just fizzled out right in front of us. You know, it's kind of refreshing as in a way too that we can just like write, record. So we're in a world where people just want to be fed content and like satisfaction just nonstop. So it's, that's what works now, is just doing singles. But I think it also works for us too, where we can write, record, put something out, and then go back and do it again. So coming off of that, even though it was 4 years ago, which is crazy, it's still kind of a breath of fresh air in that regard.
Yeah, I was gonna say we spent 4 weeks recording Dilate, I think. We took, like a break or two in there. But we wouldn't survive. We went 4 weeks with Adam. We would we would gain 50 pounds each.
We'd be like
I don't
that Charlie in the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah. So
all blown up.
you probably come across other like Adam Kachaki bands done at Timber Studios. He's the man. He's like, the fourth member of our band. It feels like when you're recording them, he's the guy. And one of the things when you're in with them is, it's you're there for a minute. Literally, we got there at 11. The last time we were recording a song, and we didn't start till 2 because the first thing we did was, what are we eating? And it's just like, it's family meal like 3 times a day, and it's like never anything that's good for you. It's like one upping the last piece of shit meal that you ate that was like so over the top and ridiculous, like, well, chicken parmesan on garlic knots, just ridiculous stuff. Yeah, so I can't imagine surviving more than a week.
He's about that life, dude. He's about that food life. And props to him because he knows the spots, dude. Every time we go there, we were there last weekend, and like every time we go, it's always just like it's something that we haven't even had before, and it's bomb. And he's the food whisperer. It's what it is.
I've never met anyone more passionate about food than him.
Yeah.
So we did a full like the album. We would need a lot of breaks to just like exercise and like
fast for a couple days.
Yeah, the family runs in the morning before the studio, so we can. That's the thing too. He's before every session, he's come back from the gym. Like, if he wasn't doing that, my man would not look the same.
Yeah, he's like going to the gym and then going to volleyball, and we're just like lying there exhausted from recording and eating food all day.
But I appreciate you guys letting me pick your brain about the whole singles thing, because it's been a reoccurring thing, I think, especially on Times of Construct, but last week's episode, that we kind of talked about how like the differences of still deciding which way to go, and you're the first band that I've had on in a while that's mainly doing the single route, so it's always nice to get that like other perspective from the bands that are still doing EPs and like trying to do full lengths. It's also got to be nice too with doing the singles, not having to sit on them for as long to put them out, because like that's the big thing that a lot of people don't know is if you're doing a whole EP or album, you're sitting on that for maybe 6 months, even more, depending on if you're trying to shop it around or finding the right time to put it out. But you guys just doing singles, it's probably at least a couple month turnaround, I would think.
Yeah, kind of. I do love, now that you say that, I do love this cycle, like knowing, we have 2 in the tank, and one more date booked for the next song and another date that's about to be booked. But like, I love this rhythm of, we have 2 songs, we know around about when they're both going to come out, we know when the next recording dates are, and like the rhythm, I am really enjoying that, not having to wait a year to get all your ducks in a row to release it. And by the time you start hating the stuff and start to regret some of your decisions, we don't have time to regret with this cycle, which is great.
Yeah, it's still like top of mind and like still feels really good. It's the worst sitting on things until you hate them.
Yeah, it always blows my mind how many bands are like, oh no, we've been sitting on this for like a year and we're so fucking over it, like we're ready to do the next thing. And it's like, that sucks because it just comes out, you still have to do the whole promotional cycle for it, maybe do a little run on it, and
it's a bummer.
Just doing muscle memory because you just don't give a shit at that point, really.
Right. Meanwhile, you've already written the new shit that you're actually excited about, and you're like, well, we can't play it and we haven't tracked it and all that stuff. Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's kind of like, are you doing it consistently, like a little bit all the time, or are you doing like a big dump at once where you're spending a month in the studio recording it and then spending a lot of, what I mean? It's like the effort in some cases is pretty similar, I would imagine, but like like, are you doing a little bit consistently, or are you doing a lot all at once and then just kind of like having to wait, you know?
And then I think JW made a point earlier where when you see like the first single kind of go out and like you can kind of gauge like, okay, this worked or this didn't work. Is there anything in Creatures that you think kind of uh, evolved from, you know, the first two singles, seeing how those played out leading into this one?
I mean, I think that like I guess one of the bigger takeaways that we had for even between Partial Permanent and Stay Dead, that I think we kind of are carrying with us is, you know, we've realized that like in order to kind of like push these singles and get people to listen to them, you know, that world is social media based, so it makes less sense for us to shoot a contiguous music video start to finish than it does for us to shoot like smaller clips that we can then post, you know. And so if you look at like the video content that we did for Stay Dead versus Partial Permanent, we did a full video for Partial Permanent, and then we shot a number of different like smaller videos, geared sort of more towards social media, where it's like there's a chorus or there's like a verse and a chorus or something like that that people will consume, because nobody's getting to the bridge in the music video, you know what I mean? Like that's just the sad reality of the world that we live in. And so I think that like we've been trying to like sort of adapt to, you know, as much as we don't like, we wish it wasn't like that, we have to accept the world that we live in for what it is and kind of try and like, you know, appease the algorithms to an extent. And you know, so I would say that that was the biggest learning. I mean, I guess the biggest tangible learning between those first two singles that we are going to continue to do with the next one. But had we not had that experience, you know, we might not have been able to like quickly change and do something different. And I think it's been, in my opinion, it's been more successful for us, and you know, has helped us kind of grow our audience a little bit. So
I think writing too, Partial Permanent. I don't think we learned a lot of to dos, but a lot of not to dos from Partial Permanent. It is a big, fun song, and I think it gave us a list of like, all right, let's not do that again.
Yeah. Well,
not
and I
like,
think that too. Oh,
so I was
ahead,
gonna say
sorry.
not the song itself, but aspects of the song, like techniques and, you know, parts themselves.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, and I think you can kind of like tailor the song to have it fit into like the series of songs that you have, right? Like, so, you know, Partial Permanent was super upbeat. Stay Dead is kind of like, you know, balls to the wall the whole time, like doesn't really slow down at all. And so when it came time for us to work on Creatures, we wanted something that was a little bit more dynamic, and being able to kind of like tailor the approach based upon, you know, what you last did, is really nice. And I guess you could do that on a record, but you know, it is nice to be able to sort of like, you know, have there be a surprise of what is coming next, rather than, you know, having released the record and like, okay, I know you guys have heard this, but we're going to push this song next, you know what I mean? Like now it's a surprise, and we get to just kind of like come out of nowhere with what we think the next step in the progression should be. And yeah, it's been kind of cool. We're talking about it like we fucking invented it. We obviously didn't, but you know, like it's a very, everybody's doing this, but
So
you
unique.
know, but it's been
But you
working
know
for
what?
us, and you can tell we're passionate about it.
But you know what, JW, like not a lot of people talk or break it down or explain it. So like it feels like we're discovering it, even though it's already done. Like I feel like there's a lot of like weird secrets about, I don't know, it's like the industry and you know, that people just don't talk about because maybe it's taboo, or maybe it takes away like the mystique or like the magic. Um so yeah, I'm actually stoked that we are talking about it and talking about our discoveries and the what worked and what didn't work.
Yeah,
I hope it
Yeah,
helps somebody.
I love it too because, like you said, it's not. I don't feel like a lot of people are talking about it. Yes, we know people are doing singles, but you don't think about like what all entails on the back end of doing that, and like what you learn and kind of go through, and like doing like how you mentioned, like doing videos, not to do a music video, but do to do the social media clips to put them out there. I've visually seen it, but I've never thought about it until we break it down right now. And I'm like, oh yeah, that makes way more sense than trying to put a whole video together, whether you put a music video out or not, and then try and like chop up parts of it to be like, this should be like the TikTok that we should push this week, or this spot, like instead of doing it specifically for it.
Yeah,
Right.
and you know what the fucked up math was? Was when you think about, all right, we can put out a music video that's going to get X amount of views, one video, or we can put out 10 videos that are going to get those same number of views. To different people, etc. Some people, when they see, like myself included, sometimes like you see a date that's old, you think, oh, this is old, like there's new stuff out, I'm not going to pay much attention to this. So get to stay current, get to stay putting out stuff, and it keeps growing in momentum rather than just staying at one number. Our DP, who's JW's friends, Evan and Travis, who are awesome, when we had to talk, like, all right, we're shooting vertical, not horizontal, they were just like, fuck, this is 2024.
Yeah, sign of the times, baby. Yeah, I mean, it's sad to, like, I love music videos and I grew up watching music videos, but I think we have to acknowledge the lack of attention span that exists now. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's cool to do that shit, and we've done it obviously, but it at a certain point you're like, shit, is this falling on deaf ears, so to speak? Like, you know what I mean? Because are people going to get past the first chorus in it? Like, likely no. And that just is what it is, dude. In the world of 20-second TikToks and fucking Instagram reels, like, people aren't hanging out. You know what I mean? We used to have nothing but time back in the day, and now it's not that way anymore.
It's true.
Well, hell, like I remember, like I used to just scroll through YouTube and doing like all the recommendeds and just going through music videos and just finding all new bands that way. And if I were to tell that to someone now, they'd be like, why, like, that's so much work.
Wasting so much time.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
like, there's storylines in these videos, people, you gotta understand.
Yeah, dude.
We
So
were
true.
about to go deep in a storyline for Stay Dead, actually, and we realized we had to, like, we were about to go full video route before we came to our, I don't want to say came to our senses, but realized what would have benefited us more.
Yeah.
I'm bummed about it too, because it was a really cool idea visually and what we wanted to try to achieve.
Yeah.
There's always still time to do it at a later date. You never know.
There
It's
is.
true. You never
There is.
know.
But like we've been kind of saying, is like that kind of like evolution and progress as you are doing all these singles. Creatures is just freshly out at this time, so not to give too much away, but like I really am stoked to see kind of what's next up your sleeves, and what you guys have learned from every release leading up to the next one and next one and next one, and just kind of seeing where this goes. Because like I said, it's always nice finishing a song and just wanting more, but it's also cool to see the different versions of a band that can be when you release those different singles. Like kind of we mentioned, where all the singles are a little bit different in their own right. So it's nice to see those different faces of Here Now.
It's funny. JW was saying we just got back from the studio, and for me and the band, right, this last one was really, really tough. We had to record it sooner than we expected, or plan to, and so it's kind of like exhausting on that front. And like, I guess the content wise was really tough and exhausting for me. But I was like, I am gonna take like a break, just like not think about writing for a little bit, and he'll be back.
Mix out.
But once I got home, I am, since it's only last weekend, hungry to write again. And I've just been churning and not taking the break I expected to. I can't wait. I think now that I'm saying this, I really do like the cycle that we're on.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm stoked. I'm trying to stall for when he comes back, so that way I don't like dive into the next thing. But no, yeah, I'm.
Nah,
I'm
dude, he's
stoked.
out. He's out.
Yeah, he's okay. You know, we tried. No, but like, I'm always stoked for everyone that comes on, and you know, you guys are right in that line of like, I'm just stoked to see where this goes and like what the next everything down the line. As much as I keep saying that and repeating it, but I am very stoked to see what the next singles look like from here.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, dude.
What do you drink it over there?
So you know, I'm on the Colt 45. I started with the Modelo. Now I'm Colt 45 and
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
JW.
That's
What are
the
you
way,
drinking
dude.
on this fine Thursday?
So I am drinking a fucking Waterloo cherry limeade because I don't
Nice.
drink, but it is delightful. I had actually like one of those athletic like NA beers in my fridge, but it's from like more than 2 years ago, and I was like, it's probably not still good, and you know, I decided on a different approach, but yeah, but I do love I have loved many a beer in my day, and I'm jealous of you guys right now.
Welcome back, Nick.
We just lost Wi-Fi in our house. I don't know what happened. It's like cloudy. I don't know if there's a storm or what's going on, but yeah.
I'll tell you what, that
Nothing's
shirt's looking fucking real good in this new
Yeah.
vertical view.
I was gonna text you and be like, "Oh, I'm wearing this shirt. Don't wear it." We have the same shirt. We have to coordinate when we're each wearing it.
Me and my buddy also has like we also have like a couple of the same shirts, and it's usually a roll of the dice if like because we don't talk about it and we just show up places, and it's a roll of the dice if we end up wearing the same thing. So like we had family dinner last week, and I show up at Olive Garden, I'm wearing the shirt, and he's like, I almost wore that. I'm like, you should have fucking done it, man. Should have done it.
Dang.
Yeah, this weekend, JW and I we're twinning pretty hard. I recently got the same flavor of Vans that he already had, and just like
Yeah, it
shoe
was
to belt, it was kind of like who's who kind of thing. The
Yeah.
Spider-Man meme.
Nick, now that you're back, we talked about what JW's drinking on this fine Thursday. What are you sipping on over there?
Well, I'm drinking Philly Standard Punch.
Ooh.
It's not great.
What is
to be
it?
honest.
Is it beer?
Yeah, it's a beer. Philly Standard. It's like the crushable beer that Yards put out, which is delicious in
Oh.
itself. But they did a variety pack, and it's got like a bunch of different flavors and variations of Philly Standard in there. This is the punch one. It's not bad. It's just tastes like juice a little bit. Not really beer, but you know, it's what it is.
I thought it was a Fishtown iced tea for a second, and I was like, Nick's going deep on a Thursday, dude.
On a Thursday, Fishtown iced tea. Let's go. No, but I was drinking a Big Ditch Hayburner IPA from Pittsburgh before, so that one's good. That's a tasty one. 10 out of 10 would recommend that guy.
I started with the Dogfish Head Sea Quench. I feel like to get it flowing. I love like a nice sour. Now on Cape May, Always Ready Hazy Pale Ale. Pretty
There
nice.
you go. Nice.
And I saw this, I don't know if it's a TikTok or what, but where this dude just like dumps a beer into a glass, like how like, and pardon me if you guys already know this, but dumps the beer into a glass how you would never do it. You know, like you gently pour it in. And he pointed out that like maybe this is false. Please, someone tell me.
I know the TikTok you're talking about. It blew my mind. Yeah.
Yeah. So like,
you sent it to me.
I think I did. Yeah. It makes all these bubbles, and he's basically saying like, if you didn't do this, these bubbles would be in your belly now, and it makes you so full and bloated. And lately, I get so bloated from beers. I feel like I can't drink or eat anymore. So that's why I'm drinking out of a glass tonight, fellas.
There you go.
There you go. Pat's like shaking it up before he cracks it.
Yeah,
Keep the bubbles out.
Yeah, he like dumped the beer like straight vertical, like with a ton of head into the glass. and it, I guess, got rid of the bubbles. And then he did another one, how normally people do it pouring slow, like on an angle. And then I don't know what he had. It was like test strips or something like that, but he was like stirring it up and like doing different things with the two different glasses. And the one that was like poured slowly just like foamed like crazy and had all these weird reactions and stuff. He's like, this is in your stomach. Like, I don't know, this guy's telling us to like just dump our beers into our glasses, but
Yeah, just
it
like
was
a
kind of
fucking
crazy.
savage.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny you guys brought that up because that was I watched the latest episode of Vanderpump Rules last night, and that was a topic of conversation
Really?
on the show. So I at first I thought you guys were like sneaky, like sending Vanderpump Rules clips back and forth to each other, being like, "No, it was just a regular TikTok, dude." But it sounds like it was a different video. And I'm just letting you know you guys are on the you're part of the cultural zeitgeist right now, and
Totally
your
is.
algorithms are feeding you the right shit.
My fiance is upstairs watching it right now. She was like,
break her brain with that information.
You go
Actually,
downstairs
she's probably
and do
gonna come
this?
to you.
I'm gonna watch
and be like, yo, did you know that if you pour it with more head that it'll get rid of the CO2? She's gonna be like, I just saw that.
Yeah, you just gotta start doing it, and then just like have her bring it up and be like, "Oh, did you watch that TikTok or did you watch Vanderpump Rules?" It's like, no,
yeah. Did you?
It's
learn
a guy
from
thing.
Vanderpump?
Like we always know this,
right?
You played the game. Which one did I learn this from? TikTok or Vanderpump Rules?
Yeah, that's life now. Yeah,
that is life now, dude.
TikTok or Vanderpump.
The answer's mostly Vanderpump Rules.
I'm gonna throw up.
You know, we did the little beer segment, and you know, we're starting to transition. We're now, you know, nice and loose by this point, and I just want to make sure that I didn't miss anything when it comes to Here Now, Creatures, Stay Dead, or Partial Permanent, that you want the people to know about.
I don't think so.
Go listen to them.
Yes, that's
really
it.
You know,
fucking stream them and tell a friend.
Yeah.
I know at the time of this recording, you guys have a show this weekend, but do you guys have anything else planned for like July or like after this episode that people should be marking on their calendars to come see you guys?
As far as Philly, yes, but we still have to talk about it internally. But
we just can't announce it yet. Yeah, it's not announced yet, but we do have. Yeah. There's definitely some shows on deck. Just nothing that's announced as of yet. But when this airs, go to our Instagram, check it out. They'll all be listed there. Come to one of them. Yeah, we'll have a bunch on deck. Some real good ones too, with some you know, touring bands, some bigger bands, and different areas. Fun stuff coming up.
Oh yeah, like I normally say, since I'm not in Philly, you all have to go to those shows for me and let me know how it goes. Like I did mention before we started, one of these days I will make it to Philly. It's basically like making it to Mecca at this point, with everyone that I have to see, and just it'll be a wild, action-packed few days for sure. But I'm stoked.
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah!
I think I brought this up on one other episode that I'm blanking on who I did it with. I might have brought it up on a couple of different episodes, but let's say, you know, I finally make it out to Philly, and I get a chance to go to a show at a venue in Philly. Out of the venues that are there, what venues should I be looking at to go experience a good time in Philly?
It's tough. I feel like all the venues are pretty fucking sick. Depends like what bands are there.
I feel like Union Transfer is pretty sick. There's the Fillmore for like bigger bands is like very sick and sounds pretty good. But there's a bunch of different, if you're looking for like we play, there's this smaller club called Kung Fu Necktie in Fishtown that we've played a number of times. And that's always a good time if you're trying to like, you know, have it's like a more intimate show, I guess, compared to the Fillmore, which is giant.
Right. Underground Arts is really cool. Philomoka is like maybe one of my favorite underground spots.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been there. I still have never been there.
Yeah,
it's a cool shape. It's like a U around the like Johnny Brenda's vibes, which is another cool venue.
Oh, Johnny Brenda's would be sick too.
It's like my favorite smaller venues in Philly.
Yeah, it's also a very sick like bar. It's just a good vibe, dude. That
Yeah.
place is awesome. It's in Fishtown also.
The Foundry is dope too. That's the smaller venue attached to the Fillmore. That's the upstairs. And that's cool because like some bigger bands will come through there but play their shows up there, and it's a little more smaller and intimate.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We
Yeah.
used
I
to
like
always play this bar called Voltage Lounge, and I'll be honest, I miss Voltage Lounge because we were super tight with booking, and we played a lot of really good shows there. But there was just, I think every city has one of these stages where like there's just like a really inconvenient pillar, and that like at some point of the stage where some member of the band is blocked. It had one of those, so I will never fucking miss that shit again. Uh, but Voltage was fun when it was a thing.
Yeah.
Auto Bar in Baltimore is that way, where it's like, of all the places you could put this giant pillar, like everybody's just pretending like it's not here. You know what I mean? Like we collectively are just like, yeah, let's ignore the giant pole in the middle of everything.
Underground Art is
ridiculous.
that way too. The pillars are massive and such
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's bad. So they put TVs on them which show what's on the other side of the pillar, which
Just hilarious.
Like
I'm
it's
gonna-
not
if
even
I'm going to
there.
a concert, I want to stand in front of a pillar looking at a TV of what's
It's
on the other side of it.
Underground Arts is like what, 400 cap?
Yeah, maybe around that. It's smaller. Yeah.
So to have 3 to 4 TVs is comical.
Yeah.
Nobody needs a TV.
Yeah. It's in a basement though, so I'm sure
That's
it's
so funny.
supporting the entire massive apartment complex that's above it, but
Yeah.
I saw Architects there, which is
Really?
crazy because I might go catch them tonight still.
oh, there you go.
Where are they playing in Philly? They're playing in Philly tonight?
Fillmore, I think.
Um, Franklin Musical.
Oh, sorry.
Frank
Thank you.
Musical.
Uh,
So to
yeah,
answer your question, there's a shitload of venues in Philly.
Yes.
Pretty much whatever you want.
The music scene in
You can
Philly
do it.
is awesome. As you can attest with you saying that, like you've interviewed so many bands from Philly that it's almost mecca at this point, and all the bands that have come out of Philly recently, and not even recently, over like past 20 years and stuff. But there's a plethora of venues around Philly, and almost any night of the week you can go catch a good show somewhere.
Yeah.
I'll be sure to check out hopefully a lot of those venues when I make my way there. I'm not going to get into the heated debate of best cheesesteak in Philly because I'll figure that one out when I get there. I know that one can be a hot topic with some people, but as we're getting to the end of these episodes, this is where we kind of get into my favorite part of the episodes. Not that this episode hasn't been fun in any means, but this is where we kind of talk about some fun stories from you guys' time at music. Whether they're shows, tours, time recording. Obviously, you guys have been recording music videos and clips. As I normally say, they can be anything horrendous to tremendous, or any adjective in between. The way I like to think about it is think about the fun stories you guys always reminisce about with your friends. Those are usually the best ones that everyone loves to hear.
One immediately comes to mind, and Nick, I feel like you guys might be thinking the same one, but first time we were recording with Adam,
This is exactly because it's on brand with this
fucking
podcast.
cracks me up, man. He has a suite for the bands to stay in, and we're hanging out after the session, and JW goes in the fridge and he sees a case of his. Was your favorite beer?
It was one of my favorite beers. Yeah, it was a beer that I had in upstate New York. It was called Sloop Pills, and I was like, I had it in upstate New York, and I was like, this is fucking awesome. And so I went and opened the fridge, and I was like, fuck yeah, there's Sloop Pills in here, dude. This is gonna be so sick. And so then,
but it was no joke. Like you said that like a few days before we got to the studio, we were like talking about beer or something. You're like, oh, Sloop Pills is such a good beer. Like I was drinking that when I was in upstate last week. Such a good beer. Like
yeah.
It was like perfectly set up that we open the fridge and there's a case in there.
Yeah. And
He announced it. There's Sloop Pills.
Dude, and so then I immediately go to grab one, and the box is empty, and I was like, what the fuck? And I was so upset about it, dude, because I was all hype. I got everybody all hyped up about these beers, and then immediately was very dramatically let down. And I was upset with whoever left the box in there and got my hopes up.
It's probably not that funny to other people hearing the story, but like to us, it was hysterical because just the way it was set up from JW talking about this beer to opening the fridge, there happened to be a case there. I've never seen anyone go from 100 to 0 fast. It's like, oh, like so excited, grabs the case, and who the fuck puts an empty case of beer in the fridge that like grabs it and it's empty? And he's like, no, like the devastation that just washed over top.
You also you can't get it around here too. So I was like, oh my god, it's the white whale, this thing that I like had that was awesome that I can't get. Like, and then yeah, it was a cruel joke.
And that's when he stopped drinking. He said,
Yeah,
"Fuck this."
that moment, I was like, I'm out. I can't do this anymore.
I think it was being like the Beer Swip Band podcast made us all probably think of that story immediately.
Yeah.
I think about it often. It's it lives in my brain rent free.
Yeah, and my reaction was outsized, to say the least.
No. I don't know. I feel like every time we get asked this question, it's like always hard to find one on the spot. And then, you know, off camera, off mic, it's like nonstop stuff happening or funny things coming up.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I've had it before too where like it always seems like a really loaded question, and then we'll sit here and chat, and then like we'll end, and then me and like the band are like still talking for like another half hour, 45 minutes after we get done like doing the episode, and they'll tell me like 6 funny ass stories. I'm like, where was this 20 minutes ago?
Yo, yeah. Hit record.
So don't feel bad. I can always throw out some curveballs. You know, one thing that that always happens for bands that have been, you know, on the road outside of their hometown is when you're able to find a place to sleep at someone's house, but then it's also like the worst night of sleep you've ever had. Like I remember one time we were in Georgia, our friends, a friend of a friend put us up, and I ended up sleeping like in their kitchen on like a bare cement floor because someone took the bed from me instead. Still salty about that. And like that was
Fuck you, Kyle.
it was like the shittiest night ever. Also, the band that we were on tour with was like, "Hey, let's go camping one of these nights," and we're like, "Fuck that."
Fuck
so we
bears.
went camping in Georgia in the summertime, and basically, like, you know, just humidity just killing us all, and we're like, "This is the stupidest fucking day of tour. Like, why the fuck are we here?"
Dude.
Yeah, like tour is kind of like camping in general. Why do you want to go actually camping?
Yeah, make it harder for yourself.
Yeah, that's
I was this isn't this band is a bit. I played like this like thrash band before here now, and this we were playing in New York, and the venue had some extra rooms that they put us up in, and it was just a big empty room and 3 bands just all laying on the floor, and no one slept. We ended up playing like 90s throwbacks all night, and I remember a friend of ours who was, I guess, the last member of the band who's not in the band anymore. Matt, it was my band at the time and his band, and I remember his wife calling him because he used all the data because he's streaming all this 90s music. And
That's amazing.
gosh, someone's gonna hate me for telling this next part if they hear this. But we realized our guitar player was missing, so we went out. It was fucking cold out that night, and we went out into the parking lot, and he was asleep in the van with his pants off and shivering because he pissed himself because he got so drunk. And the whole next few hours he was really drunk and just blowing on his pants and his underwear trying to dry them.
Jesus Christ.
what?
That's crazy.
That memory will also live rent free in my brain forever. It was so the whole night was like one of those just shit show from front to back nights. I'm switching angles because I gotta plug in.
In a previous band, we played in Delaware somewhere, and afterwards we went to like a party that was in a trailer park under some like power lines, and it was the most fun, dude. But like I couldn't stop asking myself how I got there, and because it was just like, people smoking inside, and like, like straight up trailer in a trailer park, and it was like, I don't know who knew the people that, but we wound up there, and it was actually super fun, and everybody was really nice. But in that same band, we had a 15 passenger van that we took all of the bench seats out of except the last one, right? So it's like, and then we put a mattress down because obviously for safety.
Yeah.
And we had a TV that we put in between the two front seats, and an N64, and we got like a power inverter that somebody wired to the fucking battery of the van, and it worked, and it was awesome. Wildly unsafe, but like so fun. And so like, everybody's just kind of like laying as we're driving, and it sounds great, but also when we would do like an 8-hour stretch or something like that, it was like, I don't want to be laying anymore. You know what I mean? Also, we're catapulting down the highway with no safety measures whatsoever. So like, I regret it? Maybe. But it was kind of lit when we first did it. Probably should have put it back right away, if I'm being honest.
Sounds like a great move.
Yeah.
It was sick until it wasn't.
Well, those
sorry, go ahead, Nick.
No,
Oh, yeah.
the thumbs up agrees.
So I'd mentioned before that Nick came in at when we started recording Dilate, but just before that, we were on a short run, and this is another New York story. We were staying we crashed at a friend's house, and her roommate was DJing in Brooklyn. She lived I think she was in Brooklyn too. Our bass player at the time was vegan and was eating nothing but like snacks like you do on the road sometimes, and he got sick, so he had to stay at the apartment while the rest of us went to the DJ set. It was at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. It was a no pants party, and I had to drag the other guys to go because I was, when in Rome kind of thing. When else are we gonna go to a friend DJing a no pants party? And they didn't want to go because the Eagles are playing, just Philly team.
So Philly.
That's a very Nick thing.
Was Nick there? No.
And so like I think 4 or 5 o'clock rolled around real fast. The party was wild, everything you would expect of a no pants party, or I wouldn't say it was anything but pants, but there was a lot of interesting bottom wear. And I had to drag these guys out because we had to go load into Arlene's grocery at whatever time, and they're like, no, we're staying, like one more beer, we're not leaving. And they just went from like, no, I don't want to go to this place to watch the Eagles, to I'm never leaving this place ever, real fast. But Arlene's grocery was sick.
Both of your stories involve people without pants on.
It's a crazy time in my life. I've slowed down since.
Go for a pat.
I mostly wear pants now, so
I'm wearing pants now. I promise, shorts.
Prove it.
I'm not. I can't prove it.
I'm joking.
Camera's waist up. You can't make me do anything.
Yeah. It's funny, dude. That's a wild time.
Never experienced anything no pantsless like that. I just remember one time we played Brooklyn, and then the promoter was like, hey, you guys can or the promoter was like the manager for our friend's band, so he was like, hey, after the show what we'll do is we'll drive to like where I stay, you guys can park your van, and then we'll like go hang out at like the studio or whatever. We're like, okay, cool. Show got done probably like 10 or 11. Finally get over to his place somewhere else in New York City, park the van and trailer, which doing street parking with a van and trailer anywhere in New York City was amazing that we found a spot. And also that no one broke into it at that whole time. But so we all hop into his car, and he has to drive us out to like Long Island because that's where the studio is. So one, it takes forever. By the time we get there, it's like feels like midnight already. We're tired as fuck. And then we hang out with our friends. uh Bayside like practice like right across the parking lot. So like one guy had a key, so he kind of like showed us around like where they practice, and because there's like a
Oh,
venue
sick.
there, and have like all this time, and then it's still like, oh fuck, how long is it back to our van? And he's like, oh, it's like another like 45 to an hour, and we're like, God, just like as much as we like to see these people because we don't see them very often, we would all like to go just fucking to sleep. Like, let us just have our day. Um,
Yeah.
Yo, and the balls to leave your van and travel elsewhere. That's
Yeah.
wild.
yeah, yeah. Looking back on it, that was a ballsy move. Because like
The gear
everywhere
will be
else, like
fine.
yeah, I think like
Replaceable.
we backed up far enough where like someone's car was almost touching the back door. So
Smart.
like we try to like keep it as protected as possible. But yeah, looking back, I'm like everywhere else we stayed, we made sure to like hide the van as much as we could. Like we stayed at a hotel
Rugs.
like
Just
Staten
drape it in
Island.
rugs. Nobody will ever see it.
Ooh. But this hotel had like this weird like back section, and like we just maneuvered the van and trailer into that spot, and just like it was in the back corner, no one could really see it. Um, but I also missed that van because opposite of what JW did, we took out the back two seats and put like a bunk system, and on the bottom I
Nice.
just did like one futon mattress, and like I still miss sleeping there because it was so comfortable.
No way.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yo, you hooked it up if you miss sleeping in that van.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
great.
for real.
It was also like this dark cave, so like it was me and one other person that would do our drives. So like my days off, I would just be either sitting in a bench seat or taking a nap on the drive.
You know what I was thinking is how conversion vans are like the day of touring in a conversion van is almost done. Like the 96 Econolines are being replaced by the Sprinter vans.
Yeah,
You
Yeah.
can actually stand in them. Like,
Right. I
Yeah.
can't wait.
yeah. You guys were talking about like laying down for 8 hours and just wanting to stand up. Like, now you can stand. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, it was kind of fucked up too because like the mattress was really meant to cover, like they're like metal latches on the floor of the thing
mm,
to like hook the seats in. And so it's like if you fuck around, all of a sudden you just like in the like metal thing, and the mattress wasn't doing a great job. I also don't really know where the mattress came from. But I know we didn't buy it. So that's a bummer.
That's disgusting.
That's really
Yeah,
good.
I hope whoever we got it from, it was somebody in the bands, and I hope that it was like
Side of the
not
road, dude. Don't
abused.
lie.
Yeah,
Pick
dude.
that up.
Hey, a mattress. Let's take it.
I was
right.
always trying to sit in the bench seat, and like, yeah, I don't know why we did that. That was kind of dumb. Don't do
Well,
that.
Let's
So I
take
had
the in the van replaced with the mattress we found on the side of the road.
Yeah,
I did have friends
God.
that like they toured in. I think they had a 12 passenger van, so obviously a little bit smaller than a 15, but they had no seats besides like the captain chairs. So they had
Whoa.
like bean bags that they would sit on
Oh,
during their drives.
that's
Oh my
And
sick.
God.
then they also like decided to tour in the winter, which was terrible because like it was like their first tour out of state. So like not a lot of people know who they are outside of Iowa at the time. So like not everyone's just gonna be like, yeah, you guys can go stay at our place. So like they had to like sleep in the van a couple nights. And I remember there was a story of like they just had a bottle of like corn whiskey of just like kind of just sipping on that until you kind of felt tired enough
Oh,
to deal with the cold a couple nights.
fuck.
Sitting on a
That's
bean
brutal.
van sounds terrible. Just
Yeah,
bouncing like
dude.
Oh, yeah, it does sound. It's
We,
pictured as super chill, but yeah, now that you say that, sitting for
yeah.
8 hours must fucking suck.
mm-mm.
Yeah.
I was playing with this band, and we borrowed a van that was not. It was like it was kind of a work van a little bit, but it had like a bench seat in the back, one bench seat, and then room for our gear. And this was like the first van because it was like there was a hole. I could see the ground as we were driving through a hole in the van.
No.
And like there was questions as to whether or not the van was going to make it to the show. And I was like, why did we borrow this van? like we should not have done this. But like I felt so unsafe in that van. That was like the minute I got in there, I was like, this was a mistake. We shouldn't have done this. And like, yeah, we could drive together, but is it worth it? Like, we're gonna get stranded. You know what I mean? That was not great. It was not great. Also, when I was buying that, when we were getting the 15 passenger van for my other band, we looked at a bunch of different vans. The amount of people that will try and paint over a rusted frame in a van is wild, dude. You're trying to kill people. And these dumbass kids, myself, are like, I don't know anything about cars. I'll buy it. It looks good. Thank God I went with my neighbor who did know something about cars, and he was like, did you see the frame? And I was like, what frame? So he saved us, probably saved my life. Definitely saved me a lot of money. And yeah, gotta watch out for those fucking rusty frames, dude.
Yeah.
I learned something that day.
No, yeah, those are all good stories. See, it just took a little coercion, and they came out.
Yeah.
So don't worry, guys.
Gotta coax it out of us, you know.
It's crazy how like I'm almost at episode 200, depending on when this one comes out.
Congrats.
Yeah. And thank you. But like that whole spiel
awesome.
that I say to like get into the stories, I feel like it's still like I still need to work on it after all this time. Like it still just feels like so open ended where I just need to like I gotta tweak it some more. But it'll happen.
Really draw it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, those are all good times. That's like I missed like the stupid shenanigans that would happen on the road. Like I just TM'd and like sold merch, so like I didn't have to worry about playing an instrument. I could just I had my days to get fucked up that I didn't have to drive, and then I had to drive the other days. So you know, just I miss just being in the band with my friends.
Yeah, same. Love that.
But as they start to wind down, I do have. I think I'll throw it back in. So I have two last questions for you before I'll let you go for the night. Do you want the sentimental one, or do you guys want the fun one first? Fun is subjective, I guess. It's fun for me.
End on
How
the
much fun are we talking?
End on the fun one.
Yeah, I'm speaking on behalf of everybody else, unless you guys the other way.
Makes the boss. Let's go.
All right. So you know, I always end off these episodes on a high note. So my question to you guys is, from your time in Here Now, what has been your favorite moment that you've experienced so far?
I mean, I guess I would say, you know, I feel like, and maybe it's fresh in my mind because we were just there, but I feel like we've had some really good times in the studio together. You know, there's obviously a lot of energy in the room when you're kind of like building something, and you know, there's always a moment when things sort of start to come together and shit starts to sound good, and you're just like, damn, like this is awesome. Like, and you know, the song, as much as it was written before and demoed and stuff like that, it kind of like takes shape. And you know, that's been really fun with this group, is watching those things take shape and kind of all collaborating together to like kind of like squeeze it out in the studio, you know. That's my answer.
Yeah. I was gonna say something similar, like to the studio. It's not like I don't really think I have like one specific example of like what my favorite moment in the band is, but it's I agree. Going in the studio is always super cool because we're there, like kind of isolated, just like focused on music, just hanging out, having a good time. Also, like seeing something that we worked on really hard kind of come together, come to life, like and see it in its final form is really, really neat. And we always have a good time every time we go to the studio and eat a ton of food with Adam. But we, that, but also just like, playing shows like every, like, I'm trying to think like what, like, the best show that we've played is. And it's like, I can't even, whether it's like even the shows that we play in front of like a handful of people to shows that are like packed out and sold out, like it's, they're all great in different ways. And it's very cool, like seeing that other side of it, which is like in my head, it's like the opposite side of the coin of like the recording side, where it's like are doing the back end of things and like putting the song in its final form and then putting it out there to the world. But this is the other side of like it's out there and it's like the reciprocal like emotion that you're getting back from it of like people coming up to you and like talking about how much they love your music, buying merch, like just want to take pictures with you guys, like just people we don't know that are coming out to shows for us that are genuinely just vibing with our music. Like that's just awesome in general. Like that's so cool. Like we're all in this because like we enjoy music and being creative and playing our instruments and tapping into that part of our brains. And it's cool that we come together, we do this thing, it's fun, we try to push it as far as it can go and do what we can and record it and put it out there. And then just anytime anybody like comes out to a show that like we haven't met before or whatever it might be, just like it's awesome. We played a show a couple of weeks ago and we weren't sure how it was going to go. It's like kind of an interesting venue and stuff, but we it ended up being just such a good time. The place packed out and there's a ton of people there. Everybody had a great time and we just got a ton of positive feedback out of it. And it was just anytime that happens, I know it's kind of vague and generic, but that's the rewarding parts of the band. We're doing this, like I said before, because we genuinely enjoy it, but to find other people and the amount of people that also genuinely enjoy what we're doing just because it's fun and healthy and creative for us, like it's cool to see that. So I know it's kind of a roundabout, more broad answer than one specific example, but I think that's the coolest part of this band and making music.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna say, just a few months ago, we played in Queens, and that show was super interesting. It was in the basement of this like uh, this bar restaurant, I suppose, and a major basement vibes, not what we were expecting. And sound guy was like super disgruntled, as like most sound guys are. Uh, but it was our first show as a three-piece, because we're rolling just two guitars, drums, and backtrack bass right now. And so our turnover, we have to set up our whole in-ear rack um, in the 10, maybe 15 minutes we have to switch over. And this guy had no interest in talking about it beforehand. He's just like, no, we'll do it in the moment. But besides that, like the show was fucking awesome. I feel like we learned a lot about the three of us and our dynamic. And I think it like solidified that like the three of us is here now. It was just an awesome time. I think we had a lot of fun. It was a great show, and yeah, I think that one will stand out in my mind for a while.
Yeah, it was a good time.
That was a really cool show too. It reminded me of like a pre-pandemic world because like the show was going on downstairs. There was a bar that was upstairs, and in between bands, like basically the downstairs would kind of clear out. People would go get drinks at the bar, and then people were just outside like smoking cigarettes and stuff. And like I don't know, there was just this whole flow of people going in and doing all this shit, but it was like there was something about it that felt like I hadn't experienced that since like pre-COVID. I don't know what about it was, but I was just like, it was a really cool vibe.
I agree.
It was super
Yeah.
fun.
Now that you mention that, I feel like it's worth mentioning that the bar Freda it was called. Our buddies in this band, Gal from New York, Get a Life is what that's short for. Gal.ny is how you find them. But it's all honestly, they have this incredible scene happening in Queens, which I think is a major factor or attributor to why that night was so memorable. And what JW is saying is like pre-COVID times, how like some shows feel kind of like, I don't want to say shallow because it makes you feel jaded, but a lot of people just show up to see their homies play, and it's you know when you go to a show and you know that everybody in the room is there to be at that show, and that's what they came for. Like the last time I felt that, I think I told the guys, is when I saw the band Idols. that you can tell like everybody in the room was here to be present for that was there that night, and that was really cool. And like that band Gal, if you haven't checked them out or talked to them, they have that going on at Queens, and it's really cool and special.
Yeah.
There was also a heavy band from Yonkers that did a cover of Limp Bizkit, and I fucking lost my
Yes,
mind.
they
It
were
was the
fucking
coolest
sick.
shit ever, dude. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they played break stuff, that place just erupted.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I
So
saw this
unexpected.
TikTok once of like this band. I think they might just do cover songs, but they started playing like the intro to break stuff, and like you just heard the sound guy go, nope, cut it, nope.
That's amazing.
I love sound checking with off the wall fucking songs, and it's time I get that in my repertoire.
Yeah.
Well, I remember growing up, my friends in the scene, they were in a pop punk band. They were female fronted, but they would start their sets with "Down with the Sickness." So you
Hell
know, you just got
yes.
that drum beat going, and then it's funny because you just watch like everyone in the crowd just be like, "What the fuck are we here for?" And then like they'd get it, they'd do like the ahs, a few of them, and then like they just go right into like their pop punk stuff and just like totally 360 it or like 180 it, and just like trip people up. It was always a great time.
Hell yeah, love that.
That's sick.
But those are all great moments, especially like kind of bouncing off what you said too, Pat. Like those moments where you get to a show and you know that everyone's there for every band and just to have a good time. Like it adds a whole nother moment to those shows, and you know, it's always nice to see those happen. As much as you know, you get to those shows and everyone's like, "Oh, we saw our friends, we're leaving," and it's just kind of awkward after that. But all solid moments. Like I'm really stoked on what Here Now is doing, and like I've said multiple times through this, I'm really stoked to see what the future is for Here Now because I'm following along. I'm here for the ride now, and like I said, Minneapolis is waiting. We're a little bit far away, but I'm here for you.
We'll do the drive for you guys.
We appreciate it.
Now I can't let you leave without, you know, obviously we said we'll do the sentimental one first. I gotta bring up this other question, and again, this is subjective. As someone that doesn't live in the Pennsylvania or Philly region, but as toured through there, I've experienced, you know, the two major chains. I've experienced Wawa and I've experienced Sheetz. Is Here Now a Sheetz or Wawa band?
We're a Wawa band.
Wawa.
All day. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Is there a specific reason as to why you guys are a Wawa over Sheetz band?
I would have said Sheets before Wawa got French fries, because when you're really trying to feel like a shithead and you just need to fill up, like that's what Sheets had over Wawa a year ago.
Yeah.
Was menu offerings, but I think just loyalty to when I was a child, like you can't get a hoagie at Sheets.
It's like a sports team. It's like, yeah, Wawa. Like that's what I was born and raised around.
Even when it sucks.
There was no
Wawa.
Sheets when we were kids. Like, yeah.
Dude, there wasn't. I did not grow up with Sheets at all, and I didn't actually encounter Sheets until I was in Maryland, and I was like, oh, weird. Maryland has Sheets. That's what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Wawa is forever.
Yeah. 100%.
Wawa is forever.
Yeah.
Until you get to Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's is lit, but Wawa is
yeah. Sheets got it going on. Sheets is, if I'm on a road trip, like, I mean, I'll stay loyal to Wawa, but like,
there's a Sheets,
we're not dodging Sheets.
Yeah.
If they're side by side, we're going in Wawa.
Yeah,
we're not going to not eat in Sheets.
We're definitely going to use the bathrooms at Sheets.
Yeah.
We're going to shit
I
in
don't
Sheets
even know
and then
what
walk
you
over to
get.
Wawa.
I don't even know what you get at Sheets. What do you get there?
Burgers, chicken sandwiches, French fries, and then Wawa's, you know, hoagies.
The dairy fridge moves. That's my favorite part about
Fucking
Sheets.
hoagies, dude.
Fucking hoagies.
Yes. Yo, a hoagie from Wawa, I'll get that anytime.
Seriously.
There's a Wawa that is kind of close to my house on Aramingo. If you like, or my house is not on Aramingo, but like the Wawa, the closest Wawa to me is on Aramingo. Not the best. Some shady characters rolling around. I will brave it to get a Wawa sandwich. Because
that's loyalty. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't know what's going to happen at that Wawa too. I've gotten gas there a few times and I'm like,
yeah,
you got to be careful. You got to mind your P's and Q's. But I do it all for the sandwich.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like that adds to it too. Like once, like if you go through that and then you get that sandwich, that first bite feels a lot better or tastes a lot better than like a normal trip to Wawa.
Yeah.
As long as you take that first bite at home, because if you do it in the car, you're still kind of like on edge. You can't.
No,
You
you
I'll
gotta
gotta
tell you what,
balance.
if I'm going to Wawa, I'm
trash
taking
can.
the first bite in the car.
No, you eat it on top of the
Really?
trash can.
If I'm going to Wawa,
All right.
I'm
Well, you guys are
starving.
going to nicer Wawas than I'm going to. You
That's
don't
why
do that.
I'm on the highway doing 90, Hogue in hand, in a rush
Oh
to get
yeah,
home,
dude.
but also in a rush to be full.
Every time I eat a hoagie on the road, I feel like I set a land speed record for how quickly somebody can eat a sandwich because I'm doing it while I'm driving, and I'm like afterwards I feel like shit, but I'm like I gotta do it, you know, because I need to keep driving. I'd rather have two hands on the wheel, but I will eat the sandwich right now.
When we played that show in Queens, JW and I stopped at Wawa on the way. And for whatever reason, I was driving. I thought it was because we were in the car and Pat drove separate. I thought it was a good idea to get a buffalo chicken quesadilla from Wawa. I don't know why.
Yes.
And it was the sauciest thing. And my shirt that I wore that night at the show was just ruined. As I'm eating this quesadilla, it's just pouring down my chest. Like it was not my proudest moment. And I'm like, should have got a hoagie. That was
That's funny.
Yeah.
but the show we played last
Yeah.
week too, there was a Wawa on the way out, and it was like out,
Yeah, you all got Wawa.
a little bit, and
I only got a Diet Coke. I didn't get a sandwich there. I should have.
we all
Thought
saw
about it.
Wawa, right? And I don't know, you didn't, Pat, but we just were at different times. Yeah,
Right.
and I don't know.
Yeah, I had to dip early.
Yeah, that's right.
But
Yeah.
that Diet Coke hit. I'll tell
That
you
just
what.
proves we can't drive by a Wawa without stopping. So
That's true.
Oh yeah. It's like a safe harbor on the road. It's like, you know, shit's gonna be good.
yeah,
You know it's gonna
you
be
put us
good times
blindfolded
there.
in front of the touch screens, and we know our order. We know
Yeah, right.
what we're doing.
So true.
Well, that's definitely on my list as when I get back to the Philly area is to get some Wawa again because it's been
Wait,
quite a few years.
do you have anything like that in Minneapolis? Is there like
Not really around here where I grew up. We had like our main gas station chain is called Casey's. If you're driving through the Midwest and there's a Casey's on an exit and it's like breakfast time, you stop there for breakfast pizza no matter fucking what. It's
Breakfast
the best
pizza?
breakfast pizza.
breakfast pizza?
Let's fucking go. I love breakfast
Love
pizza.
this. I'm about to drive to Minneapolis just to get this.
I need to hear more
There's some
about
spots in
breakfast
Philly
pizza
that do
'cause
breakfast pizza.
Dude, they do a
What
couple
the-
variations. One is like so basically it's always crust, some sort of like usually like a gravy sauce, has eggs, and then they have one that has like sausage, and then another one that has bacon. I mainly go for the
Dude.
sausage one.
Fuck me up.
It will fuck you up later in the day sometimes. I could just have a weak stomach, but it will set the day perfectly.
Whoa.
It's hangover.
I don't think I've
right there.
ever heard of a breakfast pizza before. I'm gonna be honest.
Oof, dude.
But Nick and Pat are over here like, yeah, breakfast pizza. How
Yeah.
have I missed out on this?
There used to be like the little, I don't know if Red Baron made them or something. They're like microwavable breakfast
Really?
pizzas that like I had.
See,
when
I would not
like,
do
when I
that.
was a kid.
Microwave eggs is fucked up, and I would never do that.
It was
Yo, I had a roommate.
Wait, I'm
that
lying. I
used
do
to-
breakfast burritos all the fucking time. If I can see the eggs, I'm not microwaving them. As long as they're hidden,
Dude.
I'm eating them.
I had a roommate that would cook eggs in the microwave in a bowl, like fucking whip up an egg in the microwave. And I'd never seen that before. I was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. And throw it in there for like 30
All right
seconds
now?
or whatever. I don't know.
Is he
Who knows
alive?
what happened?
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. But I was like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on that note, like I've said,
Microwave your eggs, people.
Yeah, do your eggs right, not in the microwave.
Yeah.
But this has been a great time. One big thank you to Pat, Nick, and JW for taking the time out of your Thursday to sit down with me and talk about Here Now. Here Now is doing great things. Everyone go listen to Creatures. Be ready for new music. Also, if anyone's looking for merch, music, or Here Now in general, where can they find it?
Best way is our link in bio, probably on our Instagram or Facebook pages. We also have a website, it's herenowband.com. You can go there and it links you to everything as well and shows you all the need to know stuff that's going on with us. But yeah, hit us up on
Yeah,
Instagram.
find us on socials, find us on Spotify, please. Please
Yeah.
follow. It helps our algorithm, and it'll help your algorithm, I promise.
So yeah, depending where you found this episode, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, Threads, or you watch the YouTube version, got to see their lovely faces like I did tonight. Make sure you check the description below, hit those hyperlinks, go follow them everywhere. Be ready for new music, those shows that'll happen in Philly that you all have to go to because I won't be there. Be ready for upcoming, shows, tours, or whatever, and just be ready for everything that is coming up that they have up their sleeves, because I'm very stoked to see what's next. Also, if you're in the area, give them a Wawa gift card. It helps. It goes a long way. Feed these people. But gentlemen, really, like, it's been a great time. Really appreciate you guys taking the time.
This was
Thank you.
awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
This was awesome.
Appreciate it.
Well, that's gonna end it for this episode. Everyone, go listen to Here Now. Go Birds, and I'll catch everyone on the next episode.
Yes.
Birds.
Woo!
Beers with Bears.